Here we go.
Get ready, get set for the best movie and pop culture talk in the universe. It's the Good Brothers on Mercado Airwaves with your hosts, Alex Mercado and Mike Mercado.
Welcome into another episode of The Good Brothers. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, and we are going solo again in the Millennium Falcon, known as The Good Brothers, as Good Brother himself, Alex, is busy finishing up the move to his new place. Congratulations to him and his special lady. Hopefully we have him back next week to break down all the news in pop culture, entertainment, sports, and in wrestling. So why don't we get right into it? And let's all go to the movies as we run down this past weekend's box office results. And at number one, with no surprise, It Chapter 2 opens up with $91 million. And we'll give you my review in just a little bit about It Chapter 2. Angel Has Fallen at number 2, making $5 million. At number 3 is Good Boys, making $5 million. At number 4, The Lion King, bringing in another $4 million. At number 5, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, another $3 million. At 6, Overcomer at $3 million. Number 7, Dora and the Lost City of Gold, bringing in another $2 million. Ready or Not, can't wait to go see that one. At number 8, bringing in $2 million. At number 9, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, bringing in another $2 million. And at number 10, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, another $2 million. But why don't we also check out what's coming out? We have The Goldfinch, which a lot of people have mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and from all the festivals. But this is a movie that a lot of people thought was going to have some Oscar buzz, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that. And a movie that is absolutely crushing on Rotten Tomatoes right now with an over 85%. It is the movie led by Jennifer Lopez and Cardi B. It is Hustlers. And I'll be honest with you all, The Good Brothers, we're excited to check this movie out. We do have a soft spot for J-Lo just because she was Selena's, but I think this movie has a lot of potential and the fact of the story behind it. So I'm super excited to see what comes out with Hustlers this Friday the 13th. And speaking of Friday the 13th, happy Friday the 13th for all you who are listening to us on Friday and getting ready for a movie weekend or an exciting weekend. We have a lot to get into, including our It Chapter 2 review, and The Good Brother and I are worlds apart when it comes to It Chapter 2. And I'm going to go ahead and just start off with The Good Brothers' opinion of the conclusion of Stephen King's It story. And this is from The Good Brothers social media accounts on Twitter at Mercado21. Alex, in my opinion, It Chapter 2 is a whole lot of movie, and that's not a good thing. It drags for most of the movie and is way, way too long. The cast is great, but other than that, none of it works for me. Not scary, while failing to make anyone care about these adults. Overall, I can't recommend this movie. To many people, biggest letdown of the year in my opinion. 5.5 out of 10. Now, here's one thing that I have to definitely address, is the runtime of this movie. It is way too long. We're talking about almost 3 hours of film. There is a lot of jump cutting to me in this movie. Again, spoiler alert for It Chapter 2. If you haven't checked it out, we're going to go deep into it. The Good Brother gave it a 5 out of 5. I gave it a 7 out of 10. So a 5.5 from Alex, a 7 for me. Now, spoilers for It Chapter 2 in 3, 2, 1. My biggest complaint about this movie, obviously other than the runtime, is they flipped way too often from adults to the Losers Club when they were children. The best part about It Chapter 1 was you got a chance to fall in love with these kids. And the performance by those kids were stellar. Was some of the best performance of that year. And then you get such a stacked cast, including Bill Hader, who crushes it in this movie. But Jessica Chastain and James McAvoy, like that trinity. And then the rest of this cast, I mean, the guy who plays Eddie. The cast is phenomenal, but you don't get a chance to see them all together so often. They go through these weird scavenger hunts through it, and they really don't evolve much more than the stereotypical character that they've already been portrayed as in the first one. Much more hollow of a character. The performances may be good, but you don't get invested in them the same way you did in It Chapter 1. What I love about this movie, though, is there is a creepy factor that sticks with it. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is phenomenal, and I think he is actually underused in this movie. But there are points where he's menacing, and they make you sit on the terrifying moments. Whether or not you get scared by them, it's different. But when you do see kids getting murdered and eaten and they don't hold back, they show you it. And it's not some perverse, masturbatorial thing about it. It's a very true to its own world type of scenario. And you do feel bad, and then you are mesmerized by it as well, almost like Pennywise would want you to. I do think the CGI was okay in it. I definitely wish they didn't go so heavy in the CGI. The whole ritual at the end, and I know if you've watched the television movie or if you've read the book, it's goofy in this movie. It doesn't pay off. It really doesn't have anything to it. There's a lot of strings, a lot of threads in this movie that don't necessarily pay off, except for the Richie and Eddie story. The Stanley suicide and the thing that they do at the end, where they make it seem like it was his suicide that started this game, that he did it to take himself out of it so they could be strong enough to beat it. I think that's an interesting conversation. At no point did I think in the theater it was a pro-suicide message, but as a few days have gone by, more than anything, I just think it was weak storytelling. You didn't need to do that. Like, whether or not it's a self-sacrifice is one thing, and you could, thematically, dramatically show it differently. But if you were going to do that scene, it's much more tragic and to the story if he was just taken out by Pennywise. I do have problems with this film. Compared to It Chapter 1 especially, because I love that movie. It Chapter 1 has stuck with me since I came out of that theater almost 3 years ago. But I think if you watch these two movies, I mean, mind you, it's almost 5 hours of movie, maybe 5.5 hours worth of movie. Let's say coming up this Halloween on digital, you put both of them back to back, it's a great set piece. It's a great continuation. It's a great one-time story. But I do have problems with it. I wanted this movie to be a 9 out of 10. But honestly, it's sitting right there at 7. It might even be a 6.5. But I'm sitting right there on that. So that is our opinions of It Chapter 2. Let us know what you thought about this movie. We'll talk about it a little bit more as the weeks go on when the Good Brother is back in his side of the Millennium Falcon. But until then, that is where we sit on It Chapter 2. And what seems to be a theme on the show is talking about scary clowns over the last few weeks. The Joker has absolutely destroyed the Venice Film Festival, winning its Golden Lion Award, which is the best film of that festival. People are talking about this being the early Oscar favorite for best film, for best actor. But we are getting to that time. And I am excited to announce that on next week's episode of The Good Brothers, if you're a betting fan, or if you're somebody who likes to get ahead of the curve and start getting that checklist ready to check out all those Oscar contenders, The Good Brother Night will start giving out some of our early predictions of where we think some of these movies will land, who will get Oscar noms, who will get snubbed, who's best actor, best actress, best supporting. It's going to be a very fun episode. But knowing that we are so close to this Joker movie, and what potentially we might have ahead of us with not only this movie, but Ad Astra and just the plethora of movies that are coming down the pipeline, guys. It's going to be a very, Boomstick is supposed to be really great. I'm super, Bombshell, the Megyn Kelly one. I cannot wait to see that one with Margot Robbie and Charlize Theron. It's going to be phenomenal. So Oscar season coming right around the corner, and the hypeness that is this Joker movie. Stay tuned with the Good Brothers for an early Oscar prediction show and try to hedge your bets and make some of that beautiful, beautiful dinero. The NFL Week 1 is in the books, and we already started Week 2 with a horrible Thursday night game between Carolina and Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay holding off Carolina to win that game. And for all of you who are wondering, Wakanda's most wanted, we did lose Week 1 of the season. We are trying to bounce back, and I will let you give a rundown of our starting lineup. We have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. We have Devontae Adams at wide receiver, along with Odell Beckham. We're definitely going to need Odell Beckham and Devontae Adams to have bigger games, especially since we use such high draft picks to get them on the team. Chris Carson and Giovanni Bernard. Giovanni Bernard I picked up off waivers because Joe Mixon got hurt last week, so we'll see what Giovanni Bernard does against San Francisco. Delaney Walker in our tight end position. Delaney Walker, kind of one of the only weapons in Tennessee, so we'll see how he faces against the Indianapolis Colts. And at my tight end or wide receiver flex position, right now we have Jack Doyle, but there is a potential that we might put him Philip Dorsett against Miami, or maybe even leave in the tight end and maybe we go double since we know Indianapolis Colts are going to be coming from behind. And on our bench right now we have Philip Lindsay and Dante Moncrief. Dante Moncrief got targeted 14 times in that game against New England and dropped all of them, only had 3 catches, so we'll see. And Philip Lindsay, I like him as a running back, but Royce Freeman and him having that split and the fact that they're playing the Bears, I'm staying away from from that game. Right now we have Chris Boswell, the Pittsburgh kicker, against Seattle, and Philadelphia taking on Atlanta in our defensive position. And make sure you guys follow us on Sports from the Couch on YouTube or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Just look up that show on the Mercado Airwaves Network. There you can see our confidence picks. If you want to see who we think are going to win their Week 2 NFL matchups. And finally, before we get out of here, it is a WWE pay-per-view weekend, so it's time to make some predictions for this 2019 Clash of Champions pay-per-view. We are getting so damn close to NXT on USA, which is next week, and of course, SmackDown on Fox and AEW on TNT. It's going to be a golden era of new generation of professional wrestling, but let's get into this card. We'll start from the bottom up. We'll go with AJ Styles versus Cedric Alexander for the United States Championship. I'm going to go with Cedric Alexander. AJ Styles, you got to get that championship off of him so he can then go into storylines for the heavyweight championship on either brand, depending on where they put him. Cedric Alexander is your new U.S. champion. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville for the women's tag team championship. You know what? I know a lot of people get mad when people complain that the tag team titles or the women aren't being misused because they think it's some social justice warrior thing, but legitimately, these women's tag team championships have been treated like garbage, and I think this is a hot potato thing. And they've been wanting to put the title on Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, so why not now? Nobody's going to get angry that they took it off Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville start their long reign as women's tag team champions. Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan in a no disqualification match. Normally, you never bet against Roman Reigns, just like you never bet against John Cena. But when you put a no disqualification match and it's only Clash of Champions, I'm going to go Eric Rowan wins this one. Becky Lynch defends the Raw Women's Championship against Sasha Banks. Here's one where did you book yourself into a corner. This has all the potential of keeping moving forward, especially with Hell in a Cell down the pipeline. So what I think is going to happen is that Sasha Banks is going to win the Raw Women's Championship. All right. And then let you know what I believe at the end of this card. Shinsuke Nakamura defends the Intercontinental Championship against The Miz. I'm going to go with Shinsuke winning it. New Day versus The Revival for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I'm going to go with The Revival winning the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Drew Gulak versus Humberto Carrillo and Lince Dorado for the Cruiserweight Championship. I will go with Lince Dorado moving as they will be probably the 205 Live brand will be part of the NXT crew. So I'll be interested to see that. Maybe even Drew Gulak being the new heel of NXT in that mid-card. But I'll go with Lince Dorado wins the Cruiserweight Championship. Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. I will go with, it's interesting. At some point, Kofi has to lose the title, right? And Randy's always a safe bet to put the title on, but it's definitely played out in the sense of Randy as the champion holding that belt around. So I'm going to say Kofi wins it, but there's definitely going to be shenanigans in this match. Seth Rollins versus Braun Strowman for the Universal Championship match. I believe that this one, and then this being correlated with Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman defending the Raw Tag Team Championships against Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. They can't walk out with the titles, right? But us saying that, us assuming that WWE can't have them walking, they have to lose the tag titles, right? I believe that they're going to keep them. And then I believe Braun Strowman wins the Universal Championship. Flipping it, where Seth Rollins is now the tag team champion, but he doesn't have the belt, and now Braun does. That's what I think might end up being the thing, and you might have Braun versus Bray in Hell in a Cell, or maybe Braun versus Bray versus AJ versus Seth, and AJ interferes in one of these two matches. But I believe they keep the tag titles, but Braun wins the Universal Championship. And Bayley versus Charlotte. So what I believe happens is Charlotte wins the SmackDown Tag Team Championship because Becky Lynch cost Bayley the title. And then we get two Hell in a Cell matches at Hell in a Cell, and it's Bayley versus Charlotte in one, and Sasha versus Becky in the other, putting both titles on the line. And then I think that is where we're heading to. And those are my predictions for Clash of Champions 2019. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Good Brothers. Make sure you follow us all over social media. Good Brothers on Twitter at Mercado21Alex and on Instagram at Mercado2121. I'm on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram at MikeMercado2333. You can follow this show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod and follow the network on Twitter at Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube.com/MikeMercado2333. Come play video games with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. And of course, thank you all so much for the support you've given us over the last few years. Please give us 5 stars, rate, review, share us if you haven't yet, wherever you get your favorite podcasts at Mercado Airwaves. It really helps us grow the brand. For the Good Brother himself, Alex Mercado, I'm Mike Mercado. We'll see you on the next episode of the Good Brothers here on the Mercado Airwaves Network.
Thanks for joining us here on The Good Brothers, here on Mercado Airwaves. Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at Mercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox. Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at Mercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcasts, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.